Okay guys, now we're going to go over a little bit of basic operations on the TI-84 calculator, just to make sure that everybody is familiar with them, because those of you that haven't made it in to the actual building to work with me, you may or may not have ever worked with one of these calculators. So, first thing to know, whenever you have a fraction, okay, it just means numerator divided by denominator. So 8 over 9, okay, is the fraction 8/9, okay? That gives you that crazy repeating decimal of 0.8. Now, in this calculator, to convert that to a fraction or any number to a fraction, you hit this button, Math, and then you have a menu pop up. See where it says Frac? That's the number one option. We hit that, and poof, there it goes back to 8 over 9 in fraction form, okay? That's the basics of it. So, say that you are subtracting two fractions. So, we'll put them in parentheses. So I have 1/4, put it in parentheses, minus 2/3, okay? Then we hit enter. We get that crazy decimal for a negative number. Now, to turn it back into a fraction, we simply hit Math and enter twice, and poof, there's our fraction, negative 5 over 12. So, pretty basic operations. Whenever you have fractions, get in the habit, like I did, putting them in parentheses when you're doing an operation. Okay? So, real basic stuff. Like your other calculators, you have all your 4 function keys right here. Divide, multiply, subtract, and add. Instead of an equals button, you have an enter button. Here is your caret button for exponents. Okay? To square anything is right here, the x squared button, same as you might be familiar with on the TI-30s for the OGTs. And then we have a bunch of other functions, sine, cosine, tangent, and other stuff that you don't really need to learn about at this particular time. So, we're going to go over real quickly again, basic functionality. Say I have square root. So you do second button, and you hit the x squared button. There's our square root. Say it's the square root of, 625. You punch it in, you hit enter, boom, 25. Okay? Real basic functions. Now, the math menu is very, very useful. Right here, this is convert to a fraction, number 1. Convert to a decimal is option 2 on that first math menu that pops up. Then you have cubing, that's putting things to a third power. Then you have a cube root. Now, if you have a root higher than 3, so you have square root, cube root, then you have higher than that, you put in the number of the root, then you come to the math menu and you choose option 5. Then we have a whole bunch of other things that, for the most part, only Algebra 2 will be using, and that's in limited exposure. Now, if you go into the number menu next to that, first thing is absolute value. Absolute value, for those of you that don't remember, is distance from 0. So, if I do absolute value, negative 50, well, how far is 50 from 0? Well, it's 50. Okay? When you're talking distance, it's always positive. Okay? So, back to the math menu. Back to where we were. This is rounding. This is all kinds of different operations that you really don't need. Least common multiples, all that good stuff. Okay, then we come over to probability menu. Okay, these are things that you will use and you may have used on the other calculator. The first one, don't worry about. Okay, that's random numbering. We're not doing that. Now, the option 2, those are called permutations. A lot of you, I've talked about the little locks with a dial that you can buy at Walmart or wherever you shop. Those are actually permutation locks, not combinations, because the order you put the numbers in is important. And it makes the possibilities go up greatly. Combination is more like making a pizza. Doesn't matter how you do it, as long as it's got the toppings you want on it, there's your pizza. Okay? Plain and simple. The exclamation point means factorial. So, say I go out of here, so you hit second and quit to get out of anything. Say I hit 5, then the math menu, I go over to probability, and I hit factorial. What that means is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Whatever number you put in, factorial means all the way down to multiplied every number down to 1. Well, when we do that, boom, 120 is 5 factorial. 5 times 4 is 20, times 3 is 60, times 2, 120, times 1, it's still 120. Okay? Real basic stuff, but if you don't know how to find it on here, it doesn't do you any good that the calculator will do it for you. Now, say that I want to find out, speaking of those permutation locks, you have to put in 3 correct numbers, right? Well, the dial goes up to 40. Okay? Actually, yeah, it does. It goes up to 40. So say we do 40, we go to the math menu, and we pick 3, because you got 3 correct numbers. Now, how many ways can you rearrange 3 numbers? When order matters, you get 59,280. Okay? Now let's try it with a combination, which, as I said, is like making pizza. As long as everything's there, order doesn't matter. Not nearly as picky. I'll bet you it's going to go down just a little bit. So it went from 59,280 to 9,880. So a lot fewer possibilities when order is not important than when order is important. Permutation, order is important. Combination, order is not important. Those are basic functions on this calculator that you need to know.